I'm not sure if I can claim to be representative of a Japanese voice. In spite of the fact that I am an ethnic Japanese, so if I don't sound Japanese to you, then I owe you an apology for that. But I don't think I can change that. Things are bad, and I don't think I have to repeat what the two excellent speakers before me told you. As a matter of fact, we don't have to tell you anything about the apparent geopolitical crisis that we're placed. To sum up some of the important points, one is that deterrence will be insufficient in changing the behavior of the North Korean government. Just traditional deterrence strategy will not bring about desired changes in, like, for example, giving up missile tests or giving up their development of further nuclear warheads, and it's unlikely to happen. The second point is that economic sanctions so far has also failed to change their behavior. There has been significant developments, like, for example, the control of coal supply, coal trade with North Korea. I think there was a movement, but was insufficient in changing the behavior of North Korea. So, to put it very simply, traditional strategies have not been successful, and that leads to a situation where you would want to move in an even more extreme position, and that's where we place, and that is a problem. One movement in the more hawkish extremism would be an unilateral attack. And if deterrence doesn't work, perhaps some surgical strike, I dislike this word, to North Korea may be the way to do it. The military solution quotation marks. The second one is extreme in the more status quo direction, which is to accept a nuclear North Korea. We've been trying to force North Koreans to give up their nuclear programs. It hasn't worked, so why not accept it? Freeze for freeze would be one proposal in that direction. When previous policies don't seem to be working, you go into new phases. One would be unilateral attack. The other would be accepting a nuclear North Korea. I very much disagree with both positions, and I'll tell you why. And I'd like to come out with a sort of a proposal for that. And the first thing, problems that are included in the unilateral attack, an attack on North Korea. This is unlikely to destroy their retaliatory capabilities. They may change after a massive attack, but they may not. If they don't change, I don't think I have to tell you what happens to Seoul. So enough said. The second point about sanction, I very much doubt if sanctions has been totally ineffectual. But having said that, the role of China when it comes to economic sanction has been a critical one. And the traditional argument was that pushing China toward stronger sanction would be a solution, but China has been quite unwilling to accept that position. And also there has been hints about accepting a nuclear North Korea. Now, this can be a grave challenge to the region because for the following reason. One is that a nuclear North Korea would be far more independent in direction from Russia or PRC. And that could be a destabilizing factor, even aside from the fact that nuclear proliferation can be a problem and is a problem. The second point is that this would very possibly start a chain reaction in the region, that is nuclear proliferation. I do not think many Japanese citizens would accept or advocate a nuclear Japan. But I dare say that if South Korea and North Korea both are about to become nuclear powers, there is a very strong likelihood that Japan might turn into that direction. Now, there is a bit of careless talk going on in Japan right now, and I'm very unhappy about that. The argument goes, why not accepting a nuclear North Korea or nuclear South Korea, a nuclear Japan? The argument against nuclear weapons itself was a fallacy that we should cure ourselves from. That is an argument that you can see made by politicians who are not in an official position to make Japanese diplomacy, but who have held official positions in the past. It's a typical fake interpretation of international relations, but it's a simple enough one that can be accepted by some people. Accepting North Korea as a nuclear power can ignite a chain reaction in that direction. Why not having Japan a nuclear power? And that is going to destroy the whole stability of the region. I'm running out of time, so to repeat, one, I am very strongly against unilateral military attack on North Korea. I don't think I want to give a reason for that. I certainly am strongly against accepting a nuclear North Korea as well, and that leaves us with very few solutions, if I may. I am very unhappy about the Chinese reaction to the North Korean crisis. I think they have been heavy-handed, and they have been responding to signals from the United States government, or for that matter from Japan, but I think their policy direction is quite unclear at this moment. Whether they want to go along with the previous policy or they want to work together with the US or Japan for that matter, I simply don't know. And I do not see a clear line in that direction. I am also unhappy about the Abe administration in Japan right now. The Abe administration, Prime Minister Abe is a very happy man right now. He thinks that Japan has been successful in its diplomatic activities, and especially working together with the United States. Mr. Abe thinks of himself as an interpreter of Mr. Trump, as being one of the closest friends to the current President of the United States. So that's a diplomatic choice of words. Abe seems to have won the hearts and minds of the US President, and to other powers who are having difficulties in negotiating with the United States, Prime Minister Abe has become a spokesman to work out relationship. Well, congratulations. The trouble is that when it comes to the relationship between North Korea and the world, the only thing Japan has been talking about was about strengthening international cooperation in face of North Korea. We should strengthen our alliance, the Western alliance, with South Korea, Australia. We should work together with ASEAN nations. We should certainly bring China into the orbit and have one voice facing North Korea. It's not that I disagree with that. It's just that it's not enough at all. Just arguing about strengthening alliance structure is good, but it's insufficient. It certainly is insufficient in facing the crisis in North Korea, as we have seen already. The way Mr. Abe is interested in bringing China into the diplomatic network in facing North Korea is also highly ambiguous at this moment. I do not think Japan is interested in bullying China at this moment. I would dare say that Prime Minister Abe is actually working out a relationship with Mr. Xi Jinping. But having said that, when it comes to North Korea, I simply don't see anything at work at this moment. Now, what should be done? Luckily, I'm running out of time, so the solution is going to be very short. One is that the focus is about bringing China into the orbit, not only on economic sanctions, but also on geopolitical framework. North Korea is a liability for the security of PRC. And for that, not only strengthening the economic sanction against North Korea, but a larger Chinese role in facing the possible crisis from DPRK would be critical, and that includes potential use of force. I assume that PRC, China is very strongly against an unilateral attack on North Korea. But if that is the case, then China should work together for other powers. Now, bringing China into the orbit would be one. And that would lead to an even broader framework facing North Korea. It's going to take time, but we don't have time. The second point is about offering North Korea an olive branch. I'm aware that I sound crazy in saying this, but this is about threatening North Korea with stronger economic sanctions and even possible military actions. We do have to propose a scheme that North Korea can accept in the future, and that would be about ending the continuous war in the Korean Peninsula, and on that we do need a framework for that. I may sound to be idealistic and hopelessly pacifist in saying that, but I dare say that we do not have a structure that allows security in the long future in the Korean Peninsula. And this is something that was the objective of the six-party talks, and I agree with John, Professor Eikenberry, that this is something we have to bring in to a discussion. We have to be more adventurous. We have to be more adventurous. A previous policy of deterrence, previous policy of economic sanctions alone would not work, but we should also be careful not to accelerate our action toward simply accepting how it is in North Korea, or simply expecting the results of an unilateral attack. We have to be more adventurous in our diplomatic initiative. We should be more adventurous in inviting China into this architecture. And Mr. Abe should not be simply happy about having a good relationship with neighboring countries, best of all the United States. Thank you.